Once upon a time, in a mythical kingdom, there was a cozy little Bavarian cottage nestled in the heart of Germany's Black Forest. There was hardly anything one would call unusual or peculiar about this cottage in particular, but this was the home to 7 little men. These 7 stout-hearted men, all of whom had names tied to their emotional statuses for whatever reason, were the very souls who gave their home to the lovely and fair Snow White. But, as we learn from ABC's Once Upon a Time, evil cannot be easily deterred. Unless, of course, it's Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, then it doesn't have a snowball's chance. But today, that nasty, evil queen, Grimhilda. Okay, yeah, her. The wicked queen What's-Her-Face, dressed in her cloak and old hag disguise, approached the cottage with gleefully wicked anticipation, and a bushel of apples.
Snow White will never see this coming. Just one bite of this apple, and she'll drop into a death-like sleep for all eternity.
You're seriously reusing the apple bit again? At least do the poison ribbon or the poison comb in the original Grimm fairy tale.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, chump. Now, read the story or go back to your own books and grant Aladdin's wishes.
And this is why people don't read the classics anymore. Anyhow, the queen approached the front door in eager, if not malicious, anticipation.
Oh, dearie, is anyone home to help a poor old granny? Ah, thank you, my child. It's so good to see you. Snow White?
Oh, hey there, neighbor. Come to borrow a cup of sugar?
Are you the Princess Snow White?
Who, me? Well, I'm flattered, but she's not at home. I'm TAP-G, internet critic on theme park rides. Snowy's on her honeymoon with Prince something or other. And between you and me, the dude's got the personality of cardboard.
Well, child, if you aren't the Princess Snow White, would you mind telling me why you're wearing her dress?
Oh, this? Oh, I'm house-sitting for the 7 Dwarfs. Half hour ago, totally spilled my Coke. Like, all over. I didn't have any change of dry clothes, and this was the only thing here that remotely fit. The waist is a beast, but the skirt? It kind of reminds me of the Scottish Highland games. Oi, lift you with your legs, laddie. You lift that son of a haggis over your head and give her a wee pitch over to Bagpipe Moor.
Young man, can you please tell me where I may find the 7 little men?
Hi everyone, I'm SurferClock, and welcome to What's the Attraction, where our work is your vacation. I must apologize, once again, about my colleague's absence. Our special guest today wanted to be part of today's episode, but didn't want to leave their home unattended, so TAP-G volunteered to house sit.
I don't know what's worse, leaving our home for the queen to break in, or letting some fool stranger be inside it for a day.
Now, Grumpy, we discussed this. Mr. SurferClock gave us his word.
But her house is mighty dirty. And dusty, too.
It's alright, everyone. TAP-G may not be very bright, but he's never a rude house guest. Sorry, everyone. Today we're tackling one of the very newest attractions to be added to Magic Kingdom's roster, the 7 Dwarfs Mine Train. The new Fantasyland expansion underwent numerous changes and alterations over the course of a few years, dropping ideas like Tinkerbell's Pixie Hollow and Aurora's Cottage. As a subtle means to make Fantasyland a bit more male-friendly and less childish, a roller coaster based on the minds of the 7 Dwarfs was presented and approved. There was only one issue.
There's always a catch.
There was already a Snow White-themed ride in Fantasyland, Snow White's Scary Adventures. This antique ride, which we covered in episode 12, our very first RIP episode, was fading into yesteryear quick. So, in May of 2012, Snow White's ride shut down for good, preparing to be turned into the Princess Fairy Tale Hall, better known today as the OMG Mom, it's Anna and Elsa, holy cow, we're not waiting 6 hours ride.
That's the only time I've ever seen so many people grumpier than Grumpy. Well, at least they have their FastPass Plus. FastPass Plus.
But I can't stand in line that long. My magic band didn't work. Not during allergy season. I need my antihistamines. Leave the strollers at home. That's all I'm saying. Don't need them wheeled over coddling high chairs cluttering up the Danford courtyard.
Gentlemen, if you please. In any case, once the Scary Adventures ride shut down, the project moved forward, carefully building skyward in the heart of Fantasyland. Then, after almost 3 years of development, the coaster opened in May of 2014, signifying the completion of the new Fantasyland expansion.
The Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, you say? Well, dearie, tell old Granny about it.
Oh gosh, what's to tell? You enter through the queue, walk past a reproduction of the cottage, through the bucolic countryside before... Oh, the vault!
The what?
The vault! I was under the impression it was where I could find copies of Song of the South, but no, it's wicked cool. No joke, the Imagineers took time to make more games for people in the queue, and it's so cool! You can sort through jewels in a trough, or you can orchestrate music with colored lights and music.
Jewels, you say?
Oh yeah! And when you go inside, there's a bunch of these barrels filled with jewels. And if you spin them, they'll make a cool kaleidoscope image on the ceiling. And if you spin them fast enough, an image appears. And if you spin all 7, a cool 8th image appears.
So they're magic jewels?
Uh-huh. And then they sort you into these weird queues to get into the coaster. That's when you get ready to get in the ride. Just good luck squeezing your tush into the little bucket seats they have. It doesn't quite work as well when you have a slightly larger figure, like my buddy SurferClock.
So, when you park in your cart, the ride takes off quite suddenly. Not upward like Universal's Hulk, or straight like Space Mountain, or even a sharp turn like on Thunder Mountain, but down and around through some grassy knolls before then heading up an incline, where you can already hear our diminutive heroes singing their trademark song in chorus. Once over the hill, enjoy a few more spins through the hills before entering the mine itself. And there you'll see the dwarves hard at work. Well, some of them anyway.
And now remember, men, we're not paying you overtime. That means no sleeping on the job, Sleepy.
What?
Let's be honest, the animatronics are next generation, using projection technology similar to what you see on Buzz Lightyear in Tomorrowland's Space Ranger spin. This gives the dwarves a full range of facial expressions along with their namesakes. They're, minding their own business. Digging away until it's time to clock out. And you know what that means. Hi!
Ho! Doc gleefully sends out the call to seize the day. The shadows of the dwarves marching appear on the left-hand wall. It's a fairly simple effect, but effectively effective. And the music builds, all as you climb up one more hill back into the sunshine. They're singing their trademark song in chorus as they make their way back home.
With all those lovely jewels?
Probably. Anyway, over the hill and down back around the base of the hill, over a bridge, and finally back home to the cottage where everybody's cavorting and dancing to the silly song. But it's not all fun and games. There's a special guest awaiting at the front door. Someone who may or may not have the best of intentions for poor Snow White.
Oh, I wouldn't worry your little head about that child. But tell me, what do you think of the ride?
What do I think of it?
Well, for a roller coaster, this is super smooth and very surprisingly quiet. I would almost compare it to, say, the monorail. You can't even really hear it from a distance, and you may find yourself wondering if the ride's even operating, until you hear it. And even then you'll be surprised at how very, very quiet it is. Now, what's cool about the ride vehicle itself is that it can be tilted slightly with motion to the left and right. You know, how a real mine car would kind of have that give and take. Now, the audio animatronics in that first sort of real scene are very, very impressive. Though, again, I can't help but be reminded of Buzz. The color schemes are just slightly off on them, but other than that, they are quite incredible. They have a range of movement you sort of see with Buzz, but when they're allowed to actually move and exist in that scene, it is pretty incredible, I'll have to admit. Now, when you're waiting in line, there's the games. I didn't get to play the jewel sorting game, because that was actually down. I hope they can get that working, and I hope it is working next time we go. And the music in the queue as well. It's, let's see, the music in the queue, it's actually newly remastered, kind of refreshing to hear, and it's not overly grating either. It's just instrumentals. There's not singing, so you don't have to listen to them singing multiple times over and over again. It really is quite refreshing, and the music is very masterfully done. As for the rest of the games, they're decent distractions, typically intended for the younger children. Other than that, the queue itself is still pretty amazing too. They did a pretty good job making most of it look like the build-up to the minecarts. Now, as for the ride itself, this is where I have to take off the most points. I'm a bit of a coaster wimp, as many of you know, and this is still a fairly impressive coaster for what it is. For the kids and for the families, it's going to be fantastic, and it doesn't need to be any more than what it is. However, if you're a bigger coaster fan, or you can handle just a little bit more, you may find yourself seeking a bigger roller coaster. This kind of serves as the in-between of Barnstormer, but not quite Thunder Mountain. So, yeah, just take that for what it's worth. As for me personally, with some of the queue effects down, it's hard for me to give this a really high rating. It is an impressive ride, and I do really enjoy it. But for having to wait as long as we did to get this in this land, it's a little underwhelming. I'm going to go ahead and give this a 2.5 out of 5.
Well, gee, if I really had to think about what I would say about this ride, I do like the queue. I like how it feels like a nice, comfortable, cozy countryside, right down to the cottage. Not a big fan of the Christmas trees, or the fir trees on top. They kind of do look like discount fir trees that you'd see at Sears in December. I'm not a huge fan of the rather slowish loading process. They have this new weird queue system in the post-merge scene. I guess it's effective, but for me it just felt like it slowed everything down. But to be fair, at least they have the games in the queue, then that's always entertaining. I'm always game for that kind of thing, no pun intended. So those are definitely welcome. One of the first things I noticed about this ride is that this was the smoothest thing I had ever been on. Probably the only thing smoother would be the People Mover in Tomorrowland. For everything from going up the inclines to just curving around, everything just felt so smooth. I didn't even hear, like when you go up the inclines, you hear the clicking of the chains as it pulls you up to the top. Nothing. It just felt very, very smooth. So major props to that for being quiet and smooth. Very, very effective. When you're going around the countryside and through the grassy knolls in the two parts, it kind of feels like Expedition Everest a little bit. It's not a good thing or a bad thing, just pointing that out. It doesn't have a really big story overall. You go visit the dwarves, they're ready to go home, and then you see them at home. But for what it is a good story. It works for its own context. I do like the soundtrack. I did like the cue in music. I was worried that it was going to be something jarring, but it was actually very mellow and very sweet to listen to. And even though I've heard Hi-Ho a million times over, it actually felt kind of refreshing, and it was really used to its great advantage when it's time to go home and you're going up that second incline inside the mine. Because what it does is it jazzes you up, it gets you going, it gets your adrenaline pumping, like you're building up to something and you're going over the next ledge. And that was really good. I really enjoyed that. That was very well done. And I did like the final scene. I mean, yeah, they are just reused props from the Scary Adventures ride, but I call that a tribute. And I do love seeing the Queen there at the end. Overall, it's always good to have another roller coaster in the Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom can never have too many, especially kids' roller coasters. Overall, I was happy with what we found. Is it perfect? No, but I wouldn't mind going back again if someone offered me a FastPass. So, yeah, overall, I give this a 3.5 out of 5.
And SurferClock gives it a 2.5 out of 5. Now, let's see. What else is there to say? Even though it is extremely smooth for a roller coaster, it's still not recommended if motion sickness pertains to you, or if you're pregnant. And yes, kiddie coaster, but still. Children under 7 need to ride with someone at least 14 years old or older. Those in wheelchairs and scooters must be able to transfer into the coaster. And isn't it a cruel irony to discuss height requirements when we're talking about dwarfs?
But how tall do you have to be?
36 inches or 97 centimeters.
Why, that's just over 3 feet. My goodness, we make it. And I thought they'd be a tall order.
He just didn't want to sell us.
short.
Singling out the youngins. No squalor whippersnappers getting hurt in our mines.
Good common sense.
Dopey's got a question. He's asking if it's still good for the little ones.
Sure, it's short but sweet. It's a step up from Goofy's Barnstorm, but not quite Thunder Mountain level of intensity. It's good for a gentle, if speedy, zip around Fantasyland. Hey, I just had a thought. Did you guys remind TAP-G not to let anyone in the house?
I'm certain we did. Why?
What's the fool done?
Yeah, I just got a Facebook status update from him. Dudes, totally house sitting, gonna go shopping for apples from door-to-door sales lady. Emoticon smiley face.
Oh, my bearded whiskers. Bearded whiskers. Oh, we gotta save them.
Hey, SurferClock. I just finished walking Dougal. Now, what?
Sorry, Tower Girl. Can't talk right now. TAP-G's in danger and I have to go help him.
Ruh-roh.
TAP-G's in trouble? Hang on, buddy. We're coming.
Hurry! We don't have much time!
Let's see. Macintosh, Gala, Honeycrisp.
It's red.
You see, and I think that's misleading. A lot of apples look similar, but they all taste differently. So I just need to know what kind it is.
The kind that lets you bite the stupid thing and let me steal the little men's jewels.
What?
What?
Huh. Not even one of those icky little stickers. I hate them, but at least they can help me out here.
What's your favorite kind of apple, child?
Red Delicious.
How fortuitous. That's exactly what it is.
I lied. I hate Red Delicious. Too watery and tart.
Why not just take one measly little bite and find out for yourself?
All right, but don't charge me if it's a faulty product.
Oh, you evil, evil old lady. It is a red
Now to look around for those jewels.
TAP-G, you in there?
Drat, I'll have to come back some other time.
TAP-G, are you alright?
Is he seriously wearing Snow White's dress? He's making the kilt look like a good fashion choice.
Look here, an apple. I knew it. That nincompoop must have bitten into one of the queen's apples. Nothing but short of a kiss of true love can awaken him now.
A kiss of true love? Excuse me, boys. I need my lip gloss. I think I left it in the car.
Who'll feed me now?
It's okay, Dougal. We'll think of something.
What?
What the? What just happened?
A dog's love is always true and unconditional.
Dougal? Grumpy? SurferClock? How'd you guys get here?
Never mind that. Why the queen applesauce ya?
Oh, she must have been looking through the cottage for all your jewels.
You ninny! We don't keep 'em here. We lock 'em up in our vault back at the mines.
Really? Huh, didn't know that.
Are you gonna explain why you're wearing Snow White's dress?
Okay, I'm back.
It's okay, Tower Girl. He's awake!
What?
Yeah, pull the old Frozen switcheroo.
Oh, I see. No big deal. I'm good.
Alright, folks. Crisis averted. Thanks for listening. I'm SurferClock.
And this bodice is starting to chafe.
And I'm in no mood.
And we're What's the Attraction?
Our work is your vacation. Hey, something the matter, Tower Girl? You look really upset. Hey, nice lip gloss shade.
Oh, shut up.